Hey guys, it's Ashley here at the Academy with Miss Rachel and Miss Maddie, and we are back for our first real, full, official episode of Dancers and Donuts. Of course, we've got dancers and we've got yummy donuts. So today we are talking all about new beginnings because we're getting ready to start a new season. Here at the studio, we have a new business and a new location. There's a lot of new happening. And so we thought it might be good to just talk a little bit about that and how we approach new seasons or new challenges, and maybe offer some advice for dancers or parents who are either embarking on a new season or maybe a new style, or maybe you're just new to dance, and how to best approach that, and parents maybe how to best set your student up for success. So maybe just talk about, like, if you have any thoughts about how you all, or we are all as a team, kind of approach a new season, and any thoughts you have around that topic from our perspective.
I feel like, and maybe it's something like contrary to maybe what our students may like think about us like as teachers going into a new season, but I always feel super anxious going into a new season and starting a new schedule, sometimes teaching a new class or teaching kids I haven't taught before. And so I always feel like going into it, I'm like super stressed because I'm like, I don't know what to expect, even though like I've already done a couple seasons before. I know what to expect. I always feel like that's something going into it. I start to feel a lot of anxiety.
Learning new kids' names and
I definitely get stressed about that. I'm like, I want to make sure I remember everyone's name, and I feel like that's definitely a challenge. But yeah, I always feel like I get super anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would second that. Like every year is so different. Every season is so different, which is interesting because we're teaching the same things. In general, we're teaching the same kids, but every year is just so wildly different.
It's interesting how a combination, it might be, let's say, a lot of the same kids, but they're just in different groupings, and how that changes the dynamic of a class. And yeah. I think that speaks to performative skills, right? Because we always walk into a studio feeling like we've got a plan, and hopefully we seem confident and like we've got things under control. But yeah, there are those moments of feeling really anxious about getting to learn a new group, or just even how is the new schedule going to feel, right? I can look at it on paper and go, okay, this is fine. And then you maybe get to, in real life, the end of a night, and you're like, whew, that was a long night, you know? So we feel that anxiety too. Yeah. I think also there's a lot of excitement. Sometimes when you see what kids have registered for, maybe they're trying a new style that you've been so hopeful that they'll try. And I know for me, sometimes I see that and I get really, really excited about what's to come, and, you know, going, oh, I know that kid's really going to love that. Or I'm excited to finally be able to work with that group of students because you haven't in the past. And meeting new relationships. And then sometimes it's just like, oh, I'm so thankful like this kid is still in our lives, and now we're working on year 10 with them or whatever, you know, just getting to experience another year with them is always super cool. What about from a dancer perspective, like any tips or thoughts about how they might be able to approach a new season, a new style, a new class, any of that? Have any thoughts about that?
I think as far as a new style or a new class, like if you're dancing with a new group of people, I just think it's so important to go in with an open mind about it, because I think a lot of times it's the kids that maybe who aren't so sure about the style to like begin with. They're like, I don't know about this, but then end up following through with it. They end up loving it at the end, and then continue to do it for years to come. But there, you know, sometimes we walk in, we're easily intimidated by a new style, a new group, and then it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Maybe this isn't my thing. Typically, we don't see them ever coming back to that style because they didn't give it a full chance. And then as teachers, it's like, oh, but I know if you just stuck with it one year, like fully, and like did it and actually like invested into it, you would love it. And I just, from a teacher perspective, it's like,
Just give it a
thrive.
try.
Yeah, you would thrive.
Yeah.
Like I know you would, but that would, and not to say like, yeah, some things maybe just aren't for you. And then at the end of the season, you can make. I think you have a better understanding of it
Yeah.
to make that call. I just think typically
Yeah.
Yeah.
you like it. I
Yeah.
like to think, I guess.
Yeah, like definitely not judging that very first day to like determine what the whole experience is. Like I remember there was like one class I had, and it was like the very first day I had a mom and a student come and be like, they said the class is too easy. And I was like, it's the first day and I'm trying to get to know all of the kids. Like
Yeah.
it's really hard to like judge like the level of the class just off this first day.
Yeah.
Why don't we wait like a week or two before we determine whether?
I always say give it a month.
Yeah.
Like give it a month to really
At
get a
least,
decent
yeah.
sense. But even then,
Yeah.
especially if it's a new style,
Yeah.
you really, that's not,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
long
again,
enough.
we're adjusting to new groups
yeah.
too, and maybe have kids that we've never had before. And so we're, yeah, like learning them and learning where everyone's at and how to best fit everybody's level and style and movement.
learn and all that.
Yeah.
all of the things. There's,
Yeah.
a lot to, and it takes us a while
Yeah.
to get in
Yeah.
the groove of things. And
Yeah, for sure. I remember too, this was years and years ago. I had a student come into a tap class, and this was like probably a intermediate / advanced class. It wasn't the highest level tap class that we had, but it was we were doing stuff. And she had studied lots of other styles and excelled tremendously at those. And she was like, I think I really want to try tap. And so I said, well, why don't you come kind of audit the class, right? And I think her expectation was, because I'm a really strong dancer and those other styles, I should be able to pick up a new style really quickly. And it took a couple months. I mean, she got really frustrated with herself, but we worked through that process. But I think that too, going in knowing like, wow, just because I excel in one style doesn't mean I'm going to pick up another style super quickly. But it also doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to excel in that new style.
or that you're not going to like it.
Or that
Yeah.
you're not going to like
you
it.
can still
you'll
enjoy it.
right. You'll get there. Just remember, it took years and years for you to be able to excel in one style. Give yourself that same grace period when you're trying something new. Like we shouldn't expect that we come in and we nail everything perfectly the very first time. That's just not how it goes. Especially the more advanced you get. Like I think that's a hard lesson too, because sometimes we feel like, okay, we're picking content up pretty quickly, and then things get harder and harder and harder, and you realize like that's just not a thing anymore, right? Like we all have to work at making those components better, and that's just a part of the process. We have to give ourselves grace as we're working through that.
Or like
Yeah.
almost managing expectations, I think. Because I
Yeah.
think sometimes, like I always think like little 5 and 6 year olds who just can't wait to take ballet because they've seen the Nutcracker or
Oh,
Swan
yeah.
Lake. And so they're
yeah.
coming in expecting to be on their like little point shoes. And it's like, oh girl, like we can't do that quite yet. But
Yeah.
the same thing applies to any style, I think.
Yeah.
If you see something on TV or on YouTube
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, that's cool. What style is that? Oh, that's contemporary. I'm going to take contemporary. And then you go into the class with this like expectation that you're going to do that. You might not be there yet. Like the
Right.
class might not be there yet. So you might get there, but you can't walk in with that expectation that
Yeah.
at 5 or 6 year olds you're going to be like on point
On
shoes
point
or
shoes.
something like that. But I
Yeah.
think that applies to every style. Being careful that we know what we need to do in order to get
Right.
to those higher points, I guess.
There's a lot of building blocks. There's a lot
Yeah.
of foundational things we have to learn to be able to do that.
And
Yeah.
if you stick with
and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, then you
Yeah.
can eventually get there. And obviously communicating to your teachers, like, this is my end goal.
Yeah.
And we'll try everything we can to get you there. But we want to make sure you're getting there safely and
Yeah.
taking those appropriate steps
Getting
to
there the
get
right
there,
way.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure. How about things parents can do to kind of set their kids up for success, especially as they head into a new season? Any thoughts about that?
I think like being mindful, thinking about what schedule your child has, and if your child has a couple of classes in a row, well, even if it's just one class, but always making sure they have water with them. I feel like that's a common issue of like, go grab a drink of water, and it's like, oh, I don't have water, and I was like, okay, just make sure you bring one next time. And we do have the water fountain to fill up your water bottles, so
Yeah.
that makes it definitely convenient. But just making sure that you're prepared with water, and especially if your child has a long day of classes, packing a snack or something they can quickly have just to keep their energy going throughout the day. Because that
Donuts, by the
definitely-
way, are
Donuts.
not a good snack.
Qualify.
They are not a good snack to bring for them.
They're a good teacher.
They're a good teacher snack.
But yeah, and just like also if like parents have like any sort of like concerns at all about like, hey, my kid has like 3 classes in a row, but they don't have any chance to like have a snack. Like I remember, I think one of the moms, like they had a bunch of classes in a row.
They have 4 last year. I
Yeah,
think.
and they
Yeah.
were like, is it okay if before this class she has a snack? And I was like, oh, yeah, like I
Yeah.
want her to have that snack just because, one, it'll impact her behavior in class. It'll help her to focus more, help her to stay concentrated, but also feel better. And we don't want any kids like passing out on us.
No,
Sure don't.
no.
But 4 classes, for example, is a long day of
Yeah.
like, and a lot of energy after they already went to school all day. So it's really important to us that they get to eat. So we're not going to be like, no, you need to get right into class and get moving. Like if they need to have that snack, like we're totally
Yeah.
welcome. We need it too.
Yeah.
Like we'll go into the teacher's lounge and have a snack every now and then. But yeah, water and snack, that's my number 1
Yeah.
tip.
I think when we, for us too, I think when if you're a parent of a little kiddo, and maybe this is their first time in dance, or maybe it's they're brand new to the studio, or new group of kids, or maybe it's the first time you've left them really for anything. Like let's say it's a fine arts class and they're really young kiddos. I think parents, you can do a lot to set the tone of how that initial interaction goes. And so making sure that days leading up to that first day, that there's a lot of excitement when you talk about it. Like, oh, Callie, I am so excited for you to be able to go to this first dance class. What do you think it's going to be like? And how much fun do you think you're going to have? And do you think you're going to meet new friends? And I think your energy and excitement can speak a lot to how their energy and excitement is going to be. And it doesn't mean that there's still might not be moments of, I'm a little unsure, but the more excited you can be and reassuring to them that you could be. I think language, sometimes as parents, we will say like, mommy's going to be right here, don't worry, gives them a cause for concern. And so avoiding some of that language, it's like, I can't wait to see you when you're done so you can tell me all of the fun things. Could you promise that you could learn maybe one new friend's name or something like that, rather than saying those like, mommy's going to wait in the lobby for you, don't worry, those words sometimes can implant fear that we're not intending to as parents. Speaking from experience, we're not intending to, but it happens. And then you go, oh, crud, how am I going to back myself out of this one, right?
It's like I wasn't worried before, but
But
now
now
that
I
you
am.
said something, what do I have
Wait,
to
you
be
said
worried about?
Right. I think sometimes remembering that those quick drop-offs are the best, right? That I'm going to walk you to your room, have so much fun. Remember that one name, or whatever it is, and then out. I think we've all had, experienced a lot of kids who are a little bit unsure. So we're super familiar on how to kind of make those situations better, and trust that it does get better, right? But the more positive that we can speak about it at home and prep them days in advance, I think always tends to work out better
Yeah.
in some of those drop-off times. That would be my biggest tip. And I think probably because I'm a mom of young kids, like we're having that conversation now with Garrett. We talk about how exciting it's going to be to go to preschool, and we only talk about the really positive things. Remember, we only have 2 weeks left, and you get to go to preschool,
Yeah.
and that's going to be so fun. All that stuff, and because I've made the mistake of going the other route. So, yeah. Anything else? Any other tips or thoughts?
I would say, I don't know if we but like being mindful that while this is super fun and we want it to be fun and a rec activity for some people, and we want you to be involved in other things, just being mindful that they have made a commitment to a
Yeah.
season, and they've made a commitment to a team as well. So their overall attendance can impact the
Quality of their experience.
quality of their
for sure.
experience and their team's experience. And that's
Yeah.
not to say they need to be here every single class by any means. But if you are going to sign up and make that commitment, doing your best to see that through
Yeah.
as best as possible, because there have been times, because even the kid, it's like disheartening sometimes to see a kid who hasn't been to class in
Weeks.
a month,
Yeah.
2 months, and then coming in and just seeing that they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's hard from a teacher standpoint when the rest of the class has been there those weeks that they had missed.
Yeah.
So it's like we can't really backtrack to review
In the easiest way. Yeah.
So just being mindful again that we understand things happen. Their
Sure.
kids are doing other things. We want them to do other things. We want them to be involved. But just knowing going into the season that this is a commitment and there's a team involved. It's not just
Them.
your kid.
But going back to their kid, like the kid's best
Yeah.
experience will be if they're there as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
For
a good
sure.
point.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, we're excited to start new things. We're looking forward to a super fun season, new business, new kids, new all of the things. And so, again, if you have questions or topics that you'd like us to discuss, we would love to hear what those are.
Down in the comments.
Yeah, that's right.
Subscribe.
Like and
That's
subscribe.
That's what Callie says. Like and subscribe. That's right. Awesome. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll catch you next time. If you have things, make sure you let us know what they are, and we'll be back. We'll be back soon with more donuts, more
And coffee.
caffeine, and a lot more thoughts.
Yeah. Slay.
Thanks.